Welcome to episode 50
Wow.
of the Afterthoughts podcast. If you're new to the Afterthoughts podcast, this is a podcast where we talk about
faith and culture and share our thoughts after stuff.
That's good.
That was really good.
nice.
Not bad.
Yeah.
And we're surrounded by a lot of greenery today. Doug, can you tell us why?
I thought you were going to say a great cloud of witnesses. That also.
And that too.
And greenery. Well, we have good plants.
We have so
That
many.
is,
Plants.
We have so many
yep.
good plants.
God has good
For you.
plans.
That's
and
right.
we have good plants.
Good plants.
That's right.
Yep. And that's really the reason why
lot
we're
of work for
surrounded
that
by
setup.
greenery.
Yeah.
It does make it brings more life to the studio, though, I must say.
Scientifically, plants give off carbon.
No, we breathe out, exhale carbon dioxide. Plants, in a little process called photosynthesis. Ever heard of it?
I
They
recall.
intake carbon dioxide
Intake.
and they produce oxygen.
Oxygen.
So if you feel yourself breathing easier during this episode, because of all
However,
the plants.
that is real plants that do that.
Right. Well, some of these could be real. They're not.
Yeah.
We have fake plants. That's
You
these.
also, speaking of you singing,
Yes. Okay.
you did not sing Colossians 3:17. I just
Yeah,
realized.
man.
Do you want to do that now?
What's
I'm going to be
deal?
honest, man. I didn't even think about that.
That's okay. I understand.
Yeah. No, I need a guitar to do that.
Okay, we'll wait. Well, maybe
Yeah.
we'll do that on our 51st episode.
Or our 100th episode. Just plant that seed.
Plant.
Is this the 50th episode?
That's how we open the episode, Kayla. Kayla has entered the chat.
Kayla's here.
Welcome, Kayla, to the
Well,
Afterthoughts podcast. Thank you for
thank
being
you.
here
That
today.
is the one point that's been made so far.
Isn't that a
Yeah.
distracted generation?
Well-
the first question from Kayla. Which episode number is this?
Yeah. Speaking of it,
Kayla, are you millennial or Gen Z?
I am Gen Z, unfortunately.
Oh,
but
my God.
here,
Oh,
happy
my-
birthday
Oh,
to
come on.
you.
You,
should
you
have.
absolutely
Happy
should have.
birthday to you.
Oh,
yeah.
I got one.
Oh, no,
kidding.
he doesn't.
Morales.
Tattoo.
So, happy birthday.
Ethan, you should have.
He
to the
should
big
have.
5-0.
Did he bake this?
No,
'Cause if
he
he-
only does pies.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
actually
Well, I
looks
was
fantastic.
asking because if he tries it or you try it and you rate it, it's going to hurt his feelings if he baked it.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's
He's still
go.
working
What a
through
nice
that.
guy.
Yeah. Oh, can you give some context to this cake?
Yeah, so this is our 50th episode. I don't know if I forgot to say that or if nobody listens ever. Hey, Ethan, come here real quick.
Thanks, homie.
Smile for the camera, dude. Middle one.
There it
No,
is.
keep coming. Keep coming.
Yep. This one,
Oh, right
this
here,
one.
right here, right here.
Yep, look over here.
There you go. Yeah.
There's
There
three
it is.
Ethans
Great
on set
job.
right now.
Wow.
Wow, that's never happened.
We
Happy-
have to finish this cake.
By the end of it,
Really?
Matilda style.
Okay, well, we got to blow out the candles.
It's
Duty.
Oh, make a wish about our next 50.
It's 10:20 in the morning. Nothing
Okay.
better than cake.
What'd you
Good
wish
job.
for?
I'll tell you when it happens.
Yeah, I can't say. I was testing you.
I'm not a big frosting guy.
Oh, well,
I like the cake
you're
part.
getting a lot of frosting.
Oh, yeah. Hot corner.
As he goes to
The cornery? yeah.
When given the option, I'll
Wow.
always go for a corner piece.
For those listening online, what are we doing?
Oh, yeah, good question. Miss
There
Kayla.
is a cake. That says
We're eating
50
a
on it.
cake
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's our 50th episode.
Yeah, 50.
I forgot to say that, I think.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you forgot.
Very nice. Very nice to have a cake.
Thank you for thinking of that. Very fun thing we did there.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, other
We're
Ethan.
just-
Oh, that people would taste and see the Lord is good. The way we're tasting and seeing this cake
I like the
is good.
smiley face on there.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Oh.
Very nice touch.
While we're eating this cake and
Okay.
talking about the fact that, as I maybe have said so far, it is our 50th episode.
Yes.
What has been
Okay.
the best part in 1 year of this podcast for you? 50 episodes, 1 year in the books. What's been the best part?
There is all of this pressure when you're preparing a sermon and you start to get all this content lined up, and then you realize you have to say it all in 35 minutes. And so the best part,
I guess you've never heard me or Doug preach.
for
35
me, I try to stick to that. You know, the best part is realizing that you have this week, Tuesday morning, to come hang out with the guys to talk more about the other things you want to say.
Amen.
So that's the best part.
That's great.
To share your afterthoughts.
Yes. Well, that's the whole concept of the podcast.
All right, I'll answer the question. For me,
Okay.
Thanks. I was hoping you would.
our friend Natalie,
That's why I asked.
an avid listener of the Afterthoughts podcast, said her small group, her group said listening to this podcast is kind of like being in a group with us.
Wow.
And I was like, that is
That's
being
sweet.
in a group with us after a sermon and
That's
getting to
very
chat
kind.
more in depth about it, and the banter and the jokes. Everybody is saying these jokes are insane
There's many great jokes.
and ahead of their time. For those of you who don't think this podcast is hilarious, you're not ahead of your time.
Yeah, you'll catch up.
But 5 or 10 years from now,
That's what those guys were
then
doing.
you will
Yeah.
understand.
Now I get the
So
joke.
that meant a lot because I feel like that's what we wanted this to feel like.
Well, Nat's a really good point, Doug. Appreciate you saying that. I've just appreciated having an outlet to talk about sports.
Right.
So that's good. What's
This-
been the worst part for you guys? Worst part of being a podcaster?
Oh man!
For me, it's the lack of sponsorships. I don't understand how more
Yeah.
companies aren't jumping at the opportunity. There are rumors about AG1, though. I'm just going to say there are rumors.
Do you want to address the rumors at all, or tell me what they are? Or no? You can tell me offline.
The rumors are that AG1 is going to pilot a sponsorship for this podcast.
Wow.
The details, TBD.
Well,
No, HBD.
HBD.
Because, Kayla, I don't know if you knew this, this is our 50th episode.
What? No way! Congratulations.
We
See
made
this
it,
kind
guys.
of banter you,
You should-
cannot
you
get
got-
anywhere else.
No, this
You've
is
been
5
on
to
this
10
for-
years
you-
ahead of
I think
it.
one
over
thing
time.
you're missing is that you are part of this podcast.
Oh, that's right.
Congratulations to you.
Congrats,
Thank
Kayla.
you.
You're
Thank
part of
you,
this.
Thank
Do you want some cake?
I have a PB&J right here. That
We got to
is
get rid. We
basically
got
the
to
same
move this
thing.
cake.
Yeah, let's move it.
Yeah, into our stomachs.
You can-
I wish I had the willpower.
I need to
for
not
it to not.
Take it.
have this here.
Yeah.
It's really
Thank
good,
you.
though.
That was
Thank you, thank you,
fantastic,
thank you.
and I needed it, and that's all I need. Until later. Yeah.
Until about
Worst-
5 minutes from now when the
Worst
sugar.
parts. What's the worst part about it being a podcaster?
The worst part about being a podcaster, man, I don't know. That's a hard question. I like hanging out with you guys. I like doing this.
That's surprising.
So every time the podcast ends,
Yes,
And
that's what I hear
the
from
hardest
everybody.
moment.
No,
Yeah.
I said the lack of sponsorships. What do you say?
The worst part of this podcast.
Yeah.
Or the worst part about the process of podcasting, if you want.
That the episode that has the smallest amount of views is the New Year's Eve episode.
Which takes me to wanting to know what is your favorite episode of the 50,
Okay.
other than the New Year's episode, which was obviously far and away the best.
I have a memory of, I think, the first episode where everything kind of clicked for us. And it was when we talked about phones
Yeah.
and putting phones away. I think it was a single digits episode.
Okay.
I believe the title was "Get the Phone Out of Here,"
And I thought,
something
Great.
like that.
Great
I
title.
thought
Kayla just got nervous.
that was my first time
I said
thinking on the
phone.
podcast. This could
That's my
actually, this could
job.
be really helpful for people.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was really good information.
Good.
And yeah, and I'm just reminded of it this morning while Ethan's on his phone.
No,
Yeah.
I'm good
I-
looking at the episodes.
Oh, okay, okay.
yeah.
These do have a use, Doug.
Yeah.
While you look that up, I'll say my favorite episode so far has been episode 50.
Okay.
I've been doing a lot of work to try to be present in the moment
Yeah.
and to not
Oh,
dwell too
gosh.
much on the past or worry
Okay.
about the future, but
Wow.
be here now. And so currently, my favorite episode is episode 50.
Good for you.
Wow.
Sorry, what did
yeah.
you say, Ryan?
Sorry, you're just on your phone.
Wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
Next week will be 51.
Get
52.
Keep going.
Yeah.
the phone out of here.
Uh-huh.
10 months ago.
Episode 9?
Yeah. Wow.
Was it?
Nice.
Yeah.
Good memory.
See? I could tell you the titles of every episode, 0 through 50
Go.
right now. No, I can't.
The episode with Yasmin, most watched.
That
was-
That
believe
was
that.
such a good episode.
I get the most feedback on our conversation with Summer about leaving the New Age movement.
Okay.
The conversation with Tim Hawks
Yep.
was incredible.
Legendary.
What a guy.
People inspired by Wade Lombard.
Some great
New Year's
conversations with
special.
James Powell.
And
James
And
been on
Britt.
a few times.
Yeah.
Ryan's book release with Lindsay. Awesome.
That's
We did a
right.
double date podcast.
yeah, I was
which
just going to say,
That
our
was
wives
cute.
just came on here.
we need to
and
do again.
That was
roasted
cute,
us.
I have a lot of people tell me we need to do that again.
Very, very important episode.
Yeah.
I mean this. I'm not being sarcastic right now.
Oh, here we go.
I'm serious. The
like
Freedom
the boy
from
who
Porn
cried
episode.
wolf.
Oh, now you're going to feel bad.
Not big. Yes. I was going to say that.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh?
I get by far more
Yeah.
feedback about that episode.
Yeah.
Yep.
Had 2 meetings last week where the guy made the meet because he wanted to talk more in depth about that
Nice.
podcast
Yeah,
and
let's go.
conversation and how that started a journey towards freedom. So
We've had Corey
Yeah.
on here. Cody also. My favorite title, Phillips, Matott, and Wekenman. When we
Yeah,
had
yes,
Randy
that's
Phillips from
the best
Phillips,
title.
Terry and Dean.
yeah.
Got our
Jordan
concert at Red
McCaslin.
Rocks. Jordo. Jamie
Oh, yeah.
Kilstein.
Wade
It was an
Lombard.
awesome conversation with Jamie.
Jamie, AJ Norman,
Yep.
Jenna Lewis.
Jenna Lewis, apologetics.
And this would be a perfect transition to the next thing I wanted to say. When we had the national champion volleyball girls from UT, who were awesome, that's
Yeah.
a very popular episode. UT is crushing it at the Olympics.
Let's go.
There are
man.
so many
Unbelievable.
Longhorns
Yes.
winning medals. Very
Yep.
cool to see, including Red Rock's own Carson Foster.
Congrats,
on.
Carson.
Bronze medal, silver medal. Mm-hmm. Can't wait to have him back.
Gosh,
What a stud.
I want to
Now-
I want to see an Olympic medal.
I know.
I
wanna
think we
hold
will.
one.
I
Okay.
think that we will have the medal on set. Don't break it.
Seriously?
Wow.
Yeah.
Carson.
Not only do we have good plants, we have Olympic medals.
That's the plan. In honor of our 50th episode, I'd like to give everyone a week off next week from the podcast.
Oh wow, thanks, man.
Oh, thank
Congratulations.
What are you gonna do with your time off?
We will all be in Colorado, so we
okay.
can't film it.
Oh yeah.
So everybody gets
I'll
a week
probably
off.
travel
We could
Yeah.
do like on the
Travel
go
to see the world.
podcast.
to Colorado. I've never seen Denver. I'm gonna go there and see it.
Check out the Mile High City.
Now,
Yeah.
I'd like to do a quick segment called Hot Takes.
Sure.
I have a hot take, and I know you have a hot take because I've heard you talking about it. So I'm going to ask you to talk about it on here. But first,
Ooh.
I have a hot
I don't
take on
know.
the Olympics.
Yeah,
Okay.
go.
I think we're doing too much with the Olympics.
Did you see that track and field thing? Sorry.
No.
Okay.
Chime in. Let's go.
Apparently
I've-
Caleb thinks so
That's
too.
a great question.
I've seen track and field, but I don't
The
know what you're
100
referring to.
meter, like, they
dash.
had to wait so long just
Yeah,
to.
it was so close.
No, like they had to. Like,
Oh, to start.
Yeah, and they were like, okay, come on, they're
Yes.
doing too much now.
Well, that
by that do you mean too many
Oh,
events?
Too many
events.
Oh, sorry, I thought you
Yes.
meant like doing too much, like you're too
'Kay.
extra. Sorry.
Okay, I have some. I have something to say about this too, but I want to please keep going.
the Olympic Games are very old. We're talking like
Yes.
700 BC type stuff.
Mhm.
And back
Yes.
then, it was just straight up physical competitions with like running, jumping, shot put, javelin, boxing,
Covering the
that
basics.
kind of stuff. Okay, I love golf.
Yes.
I don't think golf should be in the Olympics.
Okay.
because those guys just played another tournament,
Right.
4-day tournament, and it meant a lot. And it was cool to see Scotty win the whole thing. It was an amazing comeback, and he was emotional on the podium. Very cool. I don't think that common sports should be in the Olympics. It's the Olympic Games that I think should be these just
Interesting.
physical competitions.
No basketball either.
No basketball, no
Okay.
team sports.
Okay.
I don't think team sports should be in the Olympics.
Interesting.
I think it
Huh.
should just go back to like the original games of it's track and field, it's swimming, it's wrestling, it's those.
oh, I just burned myself on this take.
This
What
is
a
a hot
hot take.
Let's go through the list of all the things in the Olympics.
Here's
Okay,
the thing,
I
though.
was-
Yes.
To not have the dream team growing up, that
I know.
was like a core childhood.
I know.
memory.
Did you have a dream team jersey?
Of course.
Yeah,
I had
same
Shaq,
here.
my brother had Penny.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
So
know.
I don't know. I don't know how I
but
feel about this. See?
those guys already are on the stage. They play games all the time that
Sure.
mean a lot.
They-
I just feel like it's when you see like
Yes.
a gymnast.
Yes.
This is their one thing.
Yes.
The biggest thing. These other guys, they win NBA championships and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Scotty won the mass. Like there's so many
I understand.
opportunities for some
There's
of those.
just a. If you were to just base this on feel, does it feel like you're watching the Olympics when you watch this? For instance, I've been watching a lot of surfing
Right.
because I love it.
right.
Right.
But I don't feel like I'm watching the Olympics
Yeah.
Right.
at all.
Right.
I feel
just
like I'm just
another-
watching surfing because I love surfing,
Right.
and I'm happy there's more surfing to watch. But I'm like, this doesn't
know.
feel like the Olympics. There's certain
hear
events that even
Yep.
maybe it's nostalgic or maybe it's just historic, but
I
this
know.
feels like it's an Olympic event. When
Yeah.
we watched, the rerun or the replay with Will and Kinsley after church on Sunday of the women's gymnastics finals when Simone and Suni Lee just kind of dominated everything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this feels like we're
Yeah.
watching the Olympics
Yes.
right now.
Very much.
I was inspired listening to the Basic Sports podcast when they were going through all the Olympic events, and I
Okay.
started to think, should some of these be in here? Archery? Yes. Gymnastics? Yes.
Yes.
Swimming?
Yes.
Badminton? No. No.
But to
Sorry.
your point-
it's cool. I'm impressed, but
Yeah.
They're not going to have another stage, another
that's
platform.
true. But, okay.
Trampolining. Sorry, you're gonna go through
Basketball,
the list.
I think not. I love the volleyball, beach volleyball, and I love it all, but I don't think that should be in there. Boxing, yes. Breakdancing?
What?
No.
Breakdance is in there?
Yeah. Canoeing, take it or leave it. Biking, maybe like the mountain bike, man versus nature kind of thing.
Okay.
Cycling, like they have the Tour de France. Diving, yes. Equestrian, only because they did that way back in the beginning. Fencing, sure.
Yeah.
Soccer, no. They have the World Cup. Golf, no. Handball, I feel like I could play handball. It looks easy. No. Field hockey, no. Judo, yes. Pentathlon, yes. Rowing, maybe. Rugby, no.
Yeah, rowing has an Olympic feel to me. I don't know
Sailing, no. Shooting, they didn't even have guns back then. Skateboarding, no. Climbing.
Okay, so part of the premise here seems to be that if they didn't have it 2,000 plus years ago, we shouldn't be able to do it now. And
Wrestling,
I'm not
yes.
sure I agree with
Weightlifting,
that
yes.
premise.
Water polo.
See,
I don't know. You're right. You should be able to. I think.
We're
I know.
just supposed to
I know.
pause history.
But doesn't it feel like the
ago?
Olympics is meant to be like, let's find the people that are the most physically at their peak at like the core human things like running and swimming and gymnastic type stuff. That's
at
what
at like the organic things.
Yeah.
But
That's how I feel.
I would call the NBA players some of the best athletes in the world.
For sure. I don't know.
Your
This is why this is called a hot take.
Your hot take has holes in it.
If they bring esports truly into the Olympics are dead.
Is lukewarm.
Because that is
I wanna
not.
spit it out of my mouth.
That is not acceptable.
I agree
People
with you
playing
there.
video
No,
games
video
ever mixed
games.
in the Olympics, I will be
That's awful.
furious.
Awful.
Oh, Gen Z, what are you doing to us?
Come on, Kayla.
I don't know what we're doing.
So that's my take. I think that there should be a vetting process
We
to
won't blame you,
simplify the
Kayla.
Thank
Olympics
you.
down to find people that are at their physical peak in the most organic human
Organic, yeah.
competitions.
Organic's
That's
a
what
good
I
word.
think.
I hear that.
Okay.
Okay.
One more hot take, and then we're going to talk about bad theology.
Poof.
This might be a really hot take.
Go, Doug.
We each saw the movie Twisters.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you saw it before us, and so we texted you after because you told us, you're like, oh, let me know what you guys think of how it ends.
Yes.
So we texted at the end, we're like, what did you think should have
Yes.
happened?
Yes.
And then you sent us a
A
manifesto
long
Oh,
text.
dude.
about Twisters.
A
That was really
breakdown.
well thought out.
It was
So
really-
Doug,
Thank you.
tell us, and there's spoilers here.
Yes.
If you're going to listen, if
So
you're
maybe
gonna go see
jump ahead
Twisters.
3 minutes if you want to go see Twisters.
Probably 6 minutes.
Okay.
This is gonna get.
I could
this is
also
gonna
just
get good.
imagine that if you haven't seen it, you could guess what's going to happen. There's going to be tornadoes, and people are going to try to survive.
Yes.
Yes.
But here on Afterthoughts, we like to share our thoughts after movies sometimes. So.
Right.
Well, I'll preface it this way by saying this movie meant a lot to me because the original means a lot to me. There's a few movies on like maybe a list of 10 that I can basically quote the entire thing. And Twister,
and
the
to say
original.
that's not Doug just saying it like most people do, and you're like, okay, start, and people are like, well, I can't really do it. Doug could actually take you through the entire
Yeah,
movie.
when I
with
say
it.
that to people, they
tone
go,
and inflection,
Yeah,
and
everything.
All of that,
when
yeah.
I'm like, oh, I can quote Top Gun, people go, oh, dude, me too, I love that movie. I'm like, no, I'm
no,
sorry,
no.
I don't, you didn't hear me.
we're on different playing fields. here.
Yeah, I don't mean that you like the movie and you only kind of botched the more quotable lines.
Right.
Okay,
It's like if you told LeBron James, like, I play basketball
Yeah,
too.
dude, I
It's
played
like,
in high school.
Well,
yeah.
no.
Let me correct you on your inflections and your pauses.
Right.
Okay, that's what I mean. And so it's like Top Gun. I was like, I need the sequel to be good, and it was phenomenal.
Phenomenal. Yeah.
Doug, it truly was.
It truly was. I felt not to the same degree about Twister and Twisters.
Yeah. Lower budget.
Twisters is the sequel to Twister.
Thank you.
By the way.
Yeah. It's the plural of the singular.
Yeah.
Interesting way to do two.
But
Right?
Twisters.
Yeah, I like that.
you need to have a different story, but also commonalities that, there's nostalgia there.
Right. Some
And
callbacks.
there's some callbacks and there's some major themes to the original that you need to have. And they started by doing that.
Yeah.
It opens up on a very this scene that is the backstory
Right.
for the main character.
Right.
Tough.
Tough.
It was tough, man.
That was sad.
Yeah, I don't even remember her name.
Lost some people.
What's the main character's name in the new Twister?
Melanie. I don't know.
Cindy.
Because the
Kayla,
other guy,
fact check me there.
yeah, I'm gonna call him Glenn Powell, even though that's not his name in the movie. I think it's Tyler Owens.
Who,
or
by the
something
way,
Tyler
like
truly
that.
Owen
looks like if
and
you guys
Kate
had
Carter.
Tyler and Kate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Glenn Powell looks like if you guys had a cooler older brother. Or younger brother, maybe. I don't know at this point. Doesn't he? He looks like
Kinda.
these two.
Why does that have to
Yeah.
be cooler?
Slightly better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
I get a
He's
few.
got
I
kind
get a
of the
few.
squinty eyes.
Yeah, I get a
He
few
looks like you guys.
doppelganger references that you'd like. That are like, that's really cool. Thank you for saying that. Unfortunately, I don't see any of them when people say. I'm like, I wish I believed you.
Yeah, he does.
I
kinda
wish
look
I
like
thought that was
a little
true.
bit like you and a little bit like you.
I get a lot of them, and then people always feel like they have to water down the doppelganger. Like, well, you look like this person if
If they didn't look good.
they're like a 6 out of 10 instead of a 10 out of 10. I mean, you could have just
I think
told me
that's
I
just
look like
people.
You
them.
look like that person if Glenn Powell got 2 hours of sleep last night.
I got hit by a bus on his way in.
People value honesty, So
Oh man.
yeah,
So Kate and Tyler are the main case. So Kate has this tragic backstory that leads her to her passion for storms, and she wants to stop tornadoes, and she's a storm chaser. And then you fast forward 5 years, and she's retired, and then one of her old friends comes back to pull her out of the corporate world and say, "We need you again.
Get back in the field.
We need you
What was her name
to."
again? Kate.
Kate. We need you, Kate.
Kate, we need you back.
And
Kind of a
she-
lame call to action.
Yeah, it was, man. There were so many moments in the movie, anyways, because Tyler, Glenn Powell's character, comes into the story.
Yeah.
And first of all, he walks up to her because she's looking at the storm.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, this guy, who's a pretty well-known storm chaser, is very curious about what this girl he's never met before thinks about the storm and where it's heading, east or west. And so immediately I'm like, I'm a storyteller, right? Just like, if you're a preacher, you're a storyteller in some ways. And I'm like, he knows who she is because she's kind of a legend in the town and was probably on the news 5 years ago because of this big tragedy, but knows that she's kind of a prodigy when it comes to storms. Why else would he be? I get if he wants to go flirt with her and
Say what's up.
yeah, but that's not why he went up there.
Yeah.
He went up to her to figure out. I'm like, why? Okay, to you, she's a random girl. And then you don't find out until later that he later finds out who she is. So I'm like, that doesn't make sense, first of all.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so all throughout the movie, they set it up with parallels to the original, with Joe and Bill from the original, where her tragic backstory now becomes married to him, and now they're in it together, and you find out more of his backstory, and they accomplish this common goal as a team.
Right.
All right? So you see that beginning.
Much like this podcast.
Exactly.
Yes, very similar.
You see that beginning to happen in the new movie. And then all of a sudden, Glenn Powell's character is introduced, and they don't rush it, but then there's two prime moments for you to find out why this guy is the way he is.
Right.
Yeah.
So that she can now empathize with him and go, man, there's more to this guy than I originally gave him credit
Talking
for.
at the rodeo.
The rodeo, and when they're having dinner at her mom's house.
right.
And it's like these emotional moments, and we get nothing about him.
Yes.
And it's such a prime moment for this to become something
With more
that it
dynamics and
never
layers.
does. Yes. And then at the end of the movie, when it's the big heroic final moment,
Yeah.
he gets injured and she goes and saves the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay? Which there's a time and place for that story. I'm all about that story. I'm just saying that was very much, there is a trend recently where there's kind of a role switching where the guy becomes the damsel in distress and the girl who was the damsel in distress does the role that maybe the guy did in the previous movie or they could have done together. The Little Mermaid, the new live action one, is exactly this. She gets, at the very end of the movie, at the end of the cartoon, they both save the day together. So she's the princess, but she's also a hero in the original. So is he.
Yeah.
But in the new live action one, she assumes her role and she assumes all of his roles as well. And there is just, there's a trend in that recently, and I think probably a correction, but I see it in movies like this and I go, you just overcorrected and you ruined the story.
Right.
Because this could have been something so special.
Yeah.
Where they do it together.
Yeah.
and she's still a hero. She's the legend of that movie already. In the original, Joe is like the coolest person. Helen Hunt's the coolest person in that movie.
Right,
and
far.
Bill Paxton also plays his role, and they're both heroes at the same time. That could have happened in this, and then I think there was cultural pressure. And I think it ruined the story, is what I think.
Interesting.
And on top of that, there is, Chris Rowe made a great point that there's just so much of the love story the whole way through, and I agree. There's way too much of the love story until the moment where there actually needs to be, and then there's no love story. And they could have had this epic moment and this kiss at the end, but then the annoying guy is literally right there, third wheeling in every moment where they could have had like a kiss or something like that.
Frustrating.
So it just, I know the first original movie too well.
Yeah.
And I knew how they were setting it up. It was like, you guys did a brilliant job, and then all of a sudden you just punted and mailed it in.
Fascinating.
And caved. And I'm not saying there's not a time and place for, like the original. Joe is awesome.
Right.
But it ruined the ending of this movie. And I'm like, it should be about the story.
Right.
And it should be about the, this amazing design of these two different people. I feel like that's what marriage is. It's this design of these two different people with different strengths coming together, and neither of them can do it on their own.
That's great.
Yeah.
And that story, you even see that, culture is not about the family or marriage anymore.
Right.
So you're starting to see that more in movies and TV shows, but it's unrealistic and not consistent with how it's turning out in reality.
Yeah, the correction became an overcorrection.
It did. Yes, so that's probably a hot take for some people. I think women's princesses are heroes of tons of stories and should be.
Right.
And I think the prince in the movie, if we kind of go John Eldridge and old fashioned with this, also has that role to play as well. I've got 2 daughters now. I want them growing up believing, I can play that role, but I also want them seeing there's a very beautiful design to this too, where 2 people come together. It's even better than what one person can do on their own.
That's so good.
So, yeah. And I think that's going to be proven more and more just with statistics in our culture.
It has to be.
And movies are trying to give the ideal version of it, but that's not reality.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, man, you just ruined it. And
it is interesting when you watch what movies are coming out. It tells you a lot about culture. Where in the 90s and the early 2000s, the rom-com was all the rage. And you don't see many of those anymore. Now it's more somebody learning how to be their true self, or learning how to step into to figure out their own shadows and have this individualized moment.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting because I think that reflects culture really well.
Yeah. It's about your individual story and not you and a team.
Dude.
Or you and another person. Yeah.
I've had an interesting year with this because Single Today came out this year. And Single Today is all about helping people who are single step into that season that can be very lonely for people and find healing and get set free and all that. I've had a lot of people through interviews, whatever, who are I'm talking to them and it feels like they're going, yeah, it's so good. Let's get away from marriage. Let's work towards being single. And I have to on repeat be that's not what I'm writing about.
That's not.
Here. I'm a huge proponent of marriage.
Yeah.
And I think we need to get back to having a higher view of marriage. I'm just here to help shepherd people as they're single. But it's singleness has shifted from being this thing that nobody wanted to talk about to this thing that everybody wants to celebrate. And I'm as the Single Today guy, I'm over here I don't know that that's a great thing that we should be celebrating in that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's pushing back against the norm because I'm not living in that norm right now. So just gonna do it's the pendulum swing that now the guy has to kind of be the idiot that just
always
doesn't come through, but the girl is the hero because it was for so long the man was.
Yep.
Kayla, let me ask you as a woman.
Hey.
What do you think about the pendulum swing in a lot of movies and things like that, where it's very much more that shift where the woman is the hero and she finds herself and she goes out in the field and saves everybody and the guy's kind of just
I kind of get frustrated with it all. I'm of course I'm all for women and we know we can do powerful things, but I'm why do you have to ruin a storyline, or why do you have to take away something that could have been more powerful?
Yeah.
And I don't know. Sometimes it can be annoying. And I think there's times and places for it all. But why does everything now have to be like about that, you know?
Yeah.
And then if it's not about that, it's like, then guys get all the shame of like, of course, another powerful guy out there. I don't know. So it is annoying that it's trying to balance the tension of the two.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel
absolutely.
Like I hear a lot of people that go like went and saw Top Gun and they were just like, it was just a great movie that didn't feel like it had some sort of infiltration of an agenda that everyone had to hear about or like take away from the story. It was just the story and just let it be that. And if the story is that it's a woman that's the hero, great. If the story that's a man that's the hero, great. But let's not go overboard and have to like exert something to prove that we're culturally aware if it's going to take away from the story.
Yeah, it's like it was very clear it was supposed to be this. Yeah. And why can't... so it's like when you walk out of a movie going, that was an amazing story versus that was that was an agenda.
Yeah.
Even a little bit of an agenda. I'm like, why let that ruin a really, really, really amazing story? Because there's tons of... And you know what? Like the new Little Mermaid, I actually really liked it. I thought it was good and a great story.
Yeah.
But that's just a great example, and maybe it's because Kinsley's obsessed with Ariel right now. Yeah. But it's just a great example of, we're about to do a men's conference, and what hasn't been said for a while is I think a lot of guys are afraid to really step up and be men because they feel like culture doesn't want them to.
Right.
Truly.
Yeah, exactly.
And I have 2 little girls, and I want them to grow up and be all they can be. I also have a 5-year-old son, and I look at him and I go, I want you to know that the world needs you to be as masculine as God made you to be. Right. And toxic masculinity is, of course, that exists, but masculinity is beautiful and needed and divine.
Yeah.
Part of God's design, just like femininity. And just like that can also get toxic.
Right.
Okay? And so because this gets painted as like the worst, do not become that. Will and Zeke, I fear for them growing up shrinking back.
Right.
Because they believe the world doesn't want them to even get close to that.
Right.
Because it only becomes toxic. No, it doesn't only become toxic.
Yeah.
And when men don't be masculine men, bad things happen.
Yep.
Bad things happen.
Yeah.
And I think we've been seeing that. And I think we now have guys who maybe 4 years ago wouldn't have cheered on a Sunday morning at church when you announced a men's conference, and now they're cheering because they're hungry and they go, we've tried it the culture's way and it's not working for us or anybody else. Yeah. And we want to now do this God's way, and I want to become who He made me to be. Yeah. And I'm going to give myself permission to do it because God is, even if the culture is not giving me permission to do it yet.
Some people might say this is a double standard, but I feel like if you see the end of that movie play out, and obviously the girl runs and she gets in the truck and just goes on her own. Yeah. But if that was your daughter, and the guy that she's like interested in, the guy that's trying to date her or whatever, he's in this story with her. Yeah. Would you say like, bro, you better be in that truck with her, or you better not let her go, you go.
Yes.
Right. But if you have a son, you'd go. You leave your girl behind and you go get in that truck and you go lay your life down. I think that's like actually a biblical call that men are supposed to be the ones that go first and lay their lives down. Yes. And not to say that women don't do that and there's not a place and time that happens, but maybe it's double standard, maybe it's just kind of what's in us. When I see the end of that movie, I'm like, that dude should have been in that truck. Right. Yeah. Or he should have showed up and gone, you stay here, you're going to live, I'm going to go die. Yeah. That's how I think it should be.
What's amazing to me is how many balancing statements the 3 of us have had to make in the last 10 minutes already. Right? To go, and when I say this, I don't mean this. It's like, but you actually have to make those balancing statements right now. Have to, Hey, so for the 10th time, I'm not saying a woman can't play that role. Yeah. I have to say that 10 times to make the one point I'm trying to make, which is not that. It's men, it's okay to rise and become who you were designed to be.
And I think women want that.
Yes, like, agreed. I agree.
And then when
Kayla.
it happens, they're like, oh, like he's so like great, like he helps, like, but they don't know that until it happens, I think. Yes. They don't know what they want until it's shown.
So this will be, let's make this a hypothetical really quick. We pastor guys all the time who are in the dating world.
Right.
And in 2024, let's just say this guy who's 32 years old is dating around and wanting to do it God's way, but also, I mean, it's 2024 and no 32-year-old woman that he's dating is probably going to want to do it that way, because when it comes to sex and saving that for marriage, nobody's used to saving that for marriage.
Right. Yeah.
And so you might try for a couple dates to say, hey, this part of my life I value, and maybe I haven't done it this way in the past, but I want to find somebody where we can honor God and save the gift of sex for marriage. And most guys would tell us, yeah, but women just won't go for that nowadays, or
I'm going to sound weird.
I'm going to sound weird. And that's just, it's like, bro, pitch a vision.
Right.
I'm like,
Yeah, you're describing half of the meetings I have right now.
Oh my gosh.
I'm serious.
If that guy were to show up on date 2 or date 3, and Kayla, maybe you can speak into this and kind of go, hey, can I share a little bit of my values and my substance and my calling and vision for what I see for my future? And not to be weird, like I'm expecting this to go to marriage. I'm just saying this is the man I am, and one day this is the marriage I want to have and the family I want to raise and the life I want to build, and cast some vision and go, so therefore when it comes to sex right now, I'm not just not doing it to be weird or legalistic. I actually really honor what God says about this, and I want to do this right, even when I don't fully understand. And so, but here's a vision of what I see for my life. I have to believe there's very few women who would not like that or appreciate that. Or go, thank you for going first and casting that vision and standing on a value, because that makes me also want to rise to the occasion and stand on that value with you.
Yeah.
And I go, man, guys, rise to the occasion and cast a vision. Like you can be, I think our next relationship series, I'm just going to call it now, is going to be called Rebels. Or Relationship Rebels.
Relationship Rebels.
Because in 2024, to do this God's way, it used to be when we were in high school and college and throwing that party or that hookup or whatever, like that was rebellion kind of.
Yeah.
That's not true anymore.
Right.
Now
That's normal.
rebellion looks like that guy,
That's great.
even if he's scared on date number 2 and afraid of looking weird, casting a vision to this girl that he thinks there might be something here, and I want to let you know and invite you in on this and tell you who I am. And not be somebody that maybe you want me to be in the moment if that's not really who I am.
Yes.
That has to be one of the more attractive things because of how rare it is these days.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you pitch that vision and a girl goes, that's not for me, then you just found out really quickly someone that you don't want to be with because you're on 2 different pages.
Yeah.
So walk away.
So you might as well find out.
It's actually a very helpful thing.
Yeah.
I experienced
Might
this
as well find
exact
out
thing.
before you sleep together 10 times.
Yeah.
And then and I get it. We've been there. But 9 out of 10 of my pastoral meetings with people is because I'm not treating sex or handling it God's way.
Correct.
Right.
And it leads to baggage, man.
And cultural worldwide problems.
Yes. And
All
there's
over the place.
grace and love, like obviously. But that still doesn't mean there's not going to be consequences and baggage. And so avoid that and find out right now by being clear. But to do that, you have to know who you are and what you want.
Correct.
Yeah.
And you actually, so this is a perfect tie to talking about bad theology versus good theology, because when you're talking this past weekend about like God's plan for you or your plan for you, the human nature is to go, this is my plan and I'm going to attach God to it and assume that he signs off on it because it's what I feel or what I want. And there's plenty of guys I've had conversations with where sex comes up in a relationship and it's like, man, I just don't know. Like, I don't know if I'll meet a girl that would hear that vision and want to do that. I don't know if I can do that. And I'm like, you don't know what God has for you in a relationship because you've never tried obedience to what he's called you to. You can't know that until you step into it and actually walk in it.
Yeah.
So you're thinking in theory that God's not going to meet you there, but you're not meeting him there.
Yeah.
And that was how I was. And I had that exact conversation with Steph when we first met. A week or two into us hanging out, I knew this is a girl I wanted to pursue. And I'd had enough baggage in my life from sex, from relationships to go, and I made that decision. I'm not going to have sex again until I'm married. So if I meet a girl, that's a non-negotiable. And I thought she's going to think I'm insane. This is going to sound so weird for a guy to say this on a third date or whatever. But I told her, hey, I just need you to know from the beginning that I'm not going to have sex till I get married.
Come on.
One, because it's done a ton of damage in my life.
Yeah.
I've broken relationships. I've hurt people. I've been hurt. So I'm not letting that in.
Yeah.
I've let God have every other piece of my life except for this part. And every other part of my life that I've followed his plan versus my plan has gotten better, and I found peace there.
Yeah.
But I've held on to this one, and it keeps being destructive. So I'm going to try this his way. And because I want you to trust me.
Yes.
And that was something I learned from a pastor talking about sex before marriage, where he said, I want my wife to be able to trust me someday. And that's why I didn't have sex with her until we were married. And I thought that sounded weird at first. But he explained that if he was the guy who demanded it, like, this is just a non-negotiable for me. I have to have this. Once they were married and she has a baby, and for 6 weeks minimum, they can't have sex. Or he's on a business trip. Her mind is always going to be going, well, he always had to have it. He couldn't live without it.
Yeah.
So if I can't provide
That's a really good point.
what's he doing right now? Whether it's porn or another person, where's he going to find that? Because like an animal, he can't not.
Right.
Wow.
And that was convicting for me. And then it was vision for me, because I want my wife to trust me. I don't ever want her to lay awake wondering, what's he up to? Where is he? Because I couldn't trust. I had to like give up when we were dating and just kind of let him have this part of our relationship, because he couldn't do without it. And so, but that kind of a vision, again, no, if you don't pitch that, then they can't meet you there. But if you're also not willing to live it, then you're going to keep doubting God has a good plan for you in relationships while you're not living in his plan for your relationship. And that's what we do over and over and over.
Gosh.
Dang.
That's so good.
Really good.
If it's helpful, one of the lines I've heard and keep using in meetings is, your strongest desires and your deepest desires aren't the same, and stop mixing the two. And so a sexual urge is a very strong desire.
Yeah.
Especially in the moment. And so when we talk about it, like, well, it's something I need to have. It's like, no, it's just because you think that a strong desire is actually the deepest desire, but your deep desire is true intimacy.
Yes.
It's the two becoming one. It's committing to each other mentally and financially and geographically, and then ultimately physically.
Yeah.
Right. That is what we are created for. It's just that there's all these strong desires that come up along the way, and you can actually get to the point where you call it out and go, that's a strong desire. That's not a deep desire. And so I'm gonna leave that over here for now. Like, we need to get back to a point where we realize like willpower is possible, and self-control is possible, especially being empowered by the Holy Spirit. Like, you can learn to walk away from certain things to say yes to the more beautiful things that God has for you.
Bro, that was really good. Yeah, I said this weekend, I like how you just said it more. How I phrased it this weekend is, what you want most more than what you want now.
Yeah.
And that, what is it, Psalm 37:4? Delight yourself in the Lord, comma, and he will give you the desires of your heart.
Yeah.
Even like the topic we're talking about right now of sex while you're dating seems like a desire of your heart. You know, it feels right. And you go, well, it can't be wrong because it feels this right, and God will give me the desires of my heart. Delight yourself in the Lord.
Good.
And as you do that, you start to discover for the first time, or remember in those moments what I want most and what my deeper desire is for the deeper stuff, like the fruit of the Spirit. You know, I say a lot, you know, you're trying to buy all the things. When you buy stuff, what you're really trying to buy when you buy all the stuff that you buy is the fruit of the Spirit. So joy and peace and contentment. And same thing when we sin. We're trying to just find the end game of the fruit of the Spirit. That's what we want most. This is what I want now. And so it's delight yourself in the Lord and remember, this is the real thing. This is a lesser thing. It's like the quote I shared with our team this morning. Porn is not real sex. Alcohol is not real courage. Social media is not real community. Caffeine is not real energy. Video games is not real adventure. Gambling is not real investing. It's like that
was funny.
The deeper
that checks out.
That actually might be we got to check that one just to see. But the deeper things is the community, the love,
Right.
the adventure,
Yeah.
the energy, the passion. Those are the deeper desires in what you really want. And at some point you have to realize, you have to like logically, intellectually outsmart it and look at past patterns and go, it has never led me to that up until this point in my entire life. Why would it this time?
So true.
We
Man.
sacrificed the long-term real thing for the counterfeit hit.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
That was like, so sex in my life had gone back to that enough to finally be like, this, I am covered in shame and guilt and broken relationships and all these things. Why do I keep thinking that this is going to be different if I don't put it under the confines of what God's called me to? And I think that's where what we've been talking about recently in Colossians, like God is not a no fun zone. He's a no death zone.
Right.
But we doubt that his plans are actually good because his plans are not easy.
Right.
And to grab at the things of the world in front of us is easy, and we get that temporary hit. And I think at the root of every guy who's playing girls and sleeping around, or the girl who's sleeping around, is a desire to be loved.
Right.
Sure.
Right.
It doesn't always look like that on the outside, and even some of those people maybe living that life would roll their eyes at that, like, no, I don't care. But deep down you do.
Yeah.
And I was that. I wanted a real intimate, deep relationship, but I could only find counterfeit hits to get a little bit of that because I wasn't actually willing to commit myself to the real thing and fight for the real thing. And that's where I think that the fighting is a lost art, which is why our men's conferences stay in the fight, like learning how to fight for the real thing, the plan that God has for you. But I love in that Psalm that it says, delight yourself in the Lord. That indicates to us that you actually, in obedience, delight in the life because I think most people think like being obedient to God is just a life of suffering and it's just awful. But it's actually also, you find delight and joy in living the life that God has for you. And when you do that, then you can put things in the proper context and then you truly enjoy them. Like I've been telling so many guys recently, God doesn't tell you not to have sex until you get married because he doesn't want you to enjoy sex. Right. He tells you that because he wants you to enjoy sex.
Right.
So that when you get married, you actually get to experience the gift that it is and not the counterfeit, hurtful, painful version that the world is going to sell to you. And that's where good theology, where I think this series is so important, is starting to actually sift through for people. Is this my theology? Is this the world's theology? Am I taking a little bit of what Scripture says, a little bit of what God says, and then morphing it into my theology? Right. Or am I actually just going to trust God and listen to what he has to say to me and what he's calling me to? But you can't experience that delight until you step in those waters and fight for the life that God has for you rather than settling for what the world has for you.
I like that word delight a lot. I've never thought about that. Delight requires a fight. Like delight is the long game. You can't, anything that you truly delight in, you have spent hours and days and years investing into, right?
Do you delight in the Lord? You know, it's a great question to ask.
So that's the
question.
Or
do you just do chores for him? Or do you just do your Bible reading plan because you think you're supposed to? Or do you just go to church because there's some people around that you want to see, or you're trying to meet somebody to date? Like, all of those things could even be good motivations, but the real thing we're called to is delighting in just who he is. And I think when you find that fullness of relationship with him, or you're finding it and you delight in him, all of the other things that you want, those desires in you, they're still important, but they're not as important. And they don't drive you in the same way they used to, because you're finding your wholeness in the one place that you actually can find it, that allows everything else to be a gift rather than a need.
Wow.
How do you two delight in the Lord? What would you say brings joy in you know, like passion into your relationship with God, where it's not just, I'm doing this because I want it to lead to joy and passion one day? I feel like for me, that happens a lot, where I'm not feeling it today, but I'm actually really good at doing the small habits that are sowing seeds, because one day, and to the point where I'm like, man, I wonder if I actually need to lighten up on myself a little bit and enjoy God more today. How do you guys enjoy God and delight yourself in him?
Two things. One, worship music. As a person who sometimes labels myself as non-emotional, or I struggle with feeling a lot, worship music just brings that out of me. It always has. When we first started following Jesus and I was listening to, you know, From the Inside Out and Came to My Rescue, and even now, and those songs back then, that was like meant so much to me because music speaks to me in a way that nothing else does. But it was the lyrics of the truth that was being sung that I never believed, never claimed like about who God was or about who I am. And there's times where I'm driving where I'll be in tears in my car by myself listening to worship music because that just brings about the reality of Jesus to me in a really beautiful way and speaks deeper than sometimes my logical brain. Yeah. And the other thing is in prayer, David refers to a secret place in scripture where it's like this meeting place with God. Yeah. And I think that's something I don't know if there's not a formula to it, but I think it's something that's developed in your relationship with God where you start to understand like, he'll speak to me only in a way that I could hear and understand because then I'll know it's him. And for me, that started when we were traveling. And I remember walking on the road in Gittega with you, telling you about like, I keep praying and I keep seeing myself in this same scene. But the scene's not always the same, but it's the same location, but God like is speaking to me there. Or I see him there, I experience him there in this really profound way. I'm a very cinematic-minded person. Yeah. Yep. So it felt like movie scenes that I would like walk into, but there were times where I'm like, I'm not imagining this. You know, it's like a vision. Like God's speaking to me through the way that I'll see it and hear what he has to say to me. And those times, anytime I actually sit down in quiet and just wait and don't just rush to do something or whatever, but I just sit in some silence, which is hard to find with a wife and 2 kids. But when I have those moments and I'll drift into that place and there's times where God has spoken to me or just like, I've just experienced some of his presence and feel that delight of the relationship I have with him. That's beyond words in a way. So I don't know, it's like a deep pursuit of him is where I find that. Yeah. And he speaks to me in very creative ways that only I feel like I experience.
I can relate to that, the cinematic ways and the vision and like, where it feels like this isn't real, but it also feels like actually this is very real. Yeah. This feels very real to me, like I'm experiencing it right now.
So good, man.
Yeah, what about you, Ray?
I go on walks.
Yep.
Especially nature walks if possible. But what I do is I go and I walk and I use my 5 senses. So I'll just walk and I'll go, okay, what can I hear right now? And you'll start to realize like there's a few things you're tuning into, but there's a whole lot of sounds, you know, like that bird over there or that car down the road, whatever. Like what can I smell right now? What can I see right now? And what it does is it grounds me in God's creation. My mind is wired in such a way that life always feels like a problem to solve. And I think it's a great gift for me. But it also needs to be put down often. Yeah. And so one of my favorite quotes, life isn't a problem to solve, it's an adventure to live, or something along those lines. When I'm walking and I'm listening and I'm just being with God, it's a lot easier for me to just enjoy the day as hey, we're not trying to get somewhere right now. We're not trying to figure something out right now. We're just being present with God and delighting in his creation right now.
Great answers.
It's good.
Yeah. I don't know that I was more just kind of trying to get ideas, to be honest with you. Yeah. Because I'm very, even like my house, me and Sam's house is a perfect metaphor. We moved in, 16 months ago or something. And I have, in all my free time, been building and doing projects and finishing an office, building bunk beds, redoing closets, building playgrounds, shiplapping that wall, board and batting that wall, build shelves in the garage. And I enjoy it. Yeah. So I really enjoy that stuff. I like being busy and building, but I also, man, like yesterday, Logan came over and helped me put together the kids' playground in the backyard. And
That's nice of him on his day off.
It was really nice of him.
I hope you gave him a piece of pizza on his way out.
I told him he could take the spare plywood in the garage.
That's everyone's trick ever. Come help us move. We'll get you pizza. Like, I guess we're even now. 5 hours in. I've done it. It works.
Oh, for sure.
That story changed your life. So
What's that?
That story changed your life.
Oh, yeah. You did give us Starry when we helped you guys move, and it was good.
Yeah.
Thanks
Anyways,
for that.
sorry to interrupt you.
Starry, Doug.
You're never an interruption.
It's not in the way, it's on the way.
It's not in the way, it's on the way.
You've been shiplapping for 16 months.
Yeah, like last night. So we got like roasted by the sun, man. Like,
dude,
it was, and I was like, but I want to finish this. And then I got all the heavy things done with Logan, and then he had to go, and I was like, I want to knock all that out. And then I went and drank some pre-workout and went back outside.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm going to freaking finish this. And I got 2 more hours in, and then all of a sudden, I went from like 100 miles an hour to I almost got, I don't know if I got sick from the heat, from overheating.
It can happen.
Dehydration. I was chugging water. I probably drank like 10 Stanleys of water yesterday.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was that, but up until I went to bed last night, I was like,
I showed up yesterday evening.
Yeah.
I was like, do we need to get you like an IV or something?
For real.
Like,
Which,
you're
by
not
the way, if
doing it.
anybody does IVs and you want to just every once in a while stop by, like especially on a Sunday, and hook up an IV for hydration in the office.
It looked like you were like trying to make sense of where you were all of a sudden.
I was delirious, and I was
I'm really excited to see where this relates to delighting in the Lord.
Well, so last night, so I got the kids to bed, and then right before Ryan left, we went out into the backyard, which we've been doing a ton of work on. And it was like our backyard, there's nobody behind us, and it was the sunset. And I was like, I need to start enjoying this, because all I do is build it. And try to get it to a place where one day I'm going to sit on a chair on my back porch and sip a Waterloo and watch that sunset and watch my kids play, and not be like, I need to fix that.
That's good.
I need to build that. I need to, as soon as our room is done, then I can get a good night's sleep in it. I need to start delighting in it. And so I think last night realized, if you just are a doer, you are going to be sick for the rest of your life. And you need to enjoying God, like play and rest are not, they should not be rewards at the end of like a ton of, it should be part of your rhythm. As important as work, not a reward from work, but part of a rhythm and a cadence. And kids are the best teachers of play.
Yeah, no doubt.
And then I think people who you see interviewed on YouTube who are 99 years old, and they get asked, what's the most important thing? And they all say, you need to sit on that back porch and relax and enjoy life and the people in your life a lot more. And it's not a reward. It is actually part of being healthy and whole. And the same thing is true with God. Delighting yourself in Him. It's great that you build the church and that you give and that you share Jesus with people. But are you enjoying Him? And I think if you're not, you're going to burn out. And you're going to start to treat this as a job and go, when was the last time I felt excited about my faith? I have no idea.
Yeah. Dude. You've got to stop and actually think about enjoying the moments. Yeah. We went up to the Waco Zoo yesterday, and Zeke, it was like he was on a scavenger hunt where it was like, oh, tiger, cool. Okay, like he just wanted to go next, like see everything as fast as he could. Yeah. And multiple times I had to stop, like, hey, man, let's just stand here and look at this rhino eating right now. Like this, you've never seen this before. This is so cool.
This is a rhino, bro.
Yeah, it was so awesome. Animals are a really cool way that I
really
actually
man.
see God. But once he would slow down, my whole family stood and just watched an elephant for a little bit. Yeah. And it was kind of one of those moments where even for my boys, even Ray, who's 1.5, has just stopped and staring at it and just like in awe of it, you know? Man. And I think in another metaphor, we just rush from thing to thing to thing, like Zeke trying to see this. Okay, God, do this worship song, this thing. I'm going to read this book, this. And sometimes we just need to stop doing all of that and just look at Him and who He is and how awesome He is and enjoy His presence.
And let your brain reset a little bit so that you can be mesmerized by a rhinoceros, because that's crazy. Yeah. In the Jurassic World that came out in 2015, they show up to the huge park. And one of the lines is, you think a Triceratops wows kids anymore? And that was a dinosaur.
Wow.
And then there's the T-Rex exhibit where the Zach, the older son, is like the younger kids watching the T-Rex eat. Like kill a cow and eat it. And the older son's texting and he's bored.
Yep.
Watching a Tyrannosaurus. And it's funny because that was the big bad wow factor in the 1993 Jurassic Park.
Yep.
And all the new ones, they have to get bigger and bigger and bigger to the point where this is a rhinoceros. And I know it's Jurassic Park in a different made up world, but there's a lot of truth to that dude, can we just stand here and watch? Like, this is a majestic animal.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is cool. And if you can't pause and enjoy this, then you might need a dopamine detox, first of all, but also your heart is hurried. Yeah. And
just delight, man.
Delight in it. Delight in the day right now, in the moment.
Yeah, it's hard to delight in anything when you're hurried.
Yes.
Some hot takes today.
Love it.
Go see Twisters. It's a
good movie.
It's great.
But bad theology. There's bad theology that our plans are better than God's and we can't trust him to actually be obedient to step into his plans.
Yeah.
That's bad theology. Moving from thing to thing as a Christian and not stopping to enjoy what you're building with God.
Yeah.
Bad theology.
Yeah.
And hot take today, but it shouldn't be a hot take.
No.
God made men and women different. And different and equal are two different things.
Yes.
But I think that is an important conversation, and it's why we need things like the men's conference.
Absolutely.
That I hope that men will sign up for and come to if they're in the Austin area.
And you know what's cool is the men are really excited for it, and I think the women are really, what I hear from women more and more in our church, especially a lot of single women, but even also married women who are like, let's go. Thank you for making faith come alive to my husband or my potential future boyfriend or husband. All the women in our church want it, which I think is awesome.
Yeah. And
we should want each other to become everything that we were made to be by God.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, there'll be more conversation to be had about all that.
I think so.
That was good.
Yeah.
That was great.
Happy 50th. Kayla, I forgot to tell you, this was our 50th episode.
Oh, congratulations.
And in honor of our 50th episode, I'm going to challenge everyone to share this podcast with 50 people.
50 people.
Subscribe, smash the like button 50
Including
times.
Athletic
comment
Greens.
50 times.
Yes.
Tag Athletic Greens 50 times.
And Glenn Powell.
And Glenn Powell. And we'll get him on here so you guys can have a brothers reunion.
Next
That'll be
week.
really, really fun. Peace.
Bye.